I'm having a biting the hand that feeds moment here, guys, and I'm having a hard time with this video. I blame you entirely for this. One thing that internet reviewers do not tend to do is just review. Telling me everything that happened in the story from beginning to end, throwing in a truckload of snark, and then putting in the best lines and then throwing it back at me, that's not a review. That is an overview, a synopsis with spoilers, and that's just not cool to me. I mean, let's say I wanted to watch the movie that you happen to be reviewing. Well, there's no point in watching it now. I know how it ends, I know all the best plot points, I know all the best lines in it. All I'm going to be watching is for the minutia of what you left out. That's not fun to me. That brings me to this moment right here. You see, when I started this show, I wanted to show you guys the stories in the MMOs. I wanted to share the lore, give you an idea of the actual plot of what's supposed to be going on here. But I also understand that a lot of people don't want to spend 20 hours playing in one section of a game so they can kind of understand the plot of what's happening. Which might not be a bad idea, come to think of it. But with that in mind, I kind of look at it this way. If Roger Ebert can give synopsises of stories and not give away the entire plot line, then so can we. Yeah, I just brought in the patron saint of reviewing. Deal with it. So with all that in mind, I'm going to attempt to give you guys a plot story synopsis of one of the new areas in World of Warcraft, Mount Hyjal. Let's start with the basics. For this I'll be using a tune that's new to you guys, a Tauren hunter named Dregor. And if anybody in Iceland just perked their ears up, yes, I just butchered your language, and the name is highly appropriate. Even if my guildies call me Draugr, I don't mind the association, actually. So, Dregor is a Tauren hunter. What? I like hunters. So Dre here was actually fairly well geared for Lich King era, and you can kind of see why. I mean, these are all the heroic dungeon achievements that I've gotten over time with this guy. Yeah, but if you take your Northrend gear into the Cataclysm areas, you just get absolutely demolished. So the first thing I did when I took this guy out of mothballs, I went over to the auction house and I bought low-level Cataclysm gear. I'm not saying you have to do it, but it's kind of nice not to get absolutely just mauled every time you go out there. So it's time to try my first area in Cataclysm. I've done all these from the Alliance side, and the storyline is pretty much the same. First thing is you get your mission from the big board in town, and before I continue, let me get this out of the way. The big board is one of my pet peeves in Cataclysm. It used to be that you would interact with friend and foe alike in Dalaran, but that's just not the case anymore. Dalaran's a ghost town, and I guess that they do this to reinforce the whole "you're at war with the other side" thing, but it feels like a suitcase college to me. Oh yeah, you're going to college, but you're not really experiencing college, but we'll revisit this another time. But back to the story. So, the big board, it's how you get to go to the new areas now. Instead of adventuring naturally and going from place to place, you just play a zone till you're high enough level, and then you're politely ordered to go to another area through the board. In this case, the board gives you Mount Hyjal as a destination. The overall storyline is that you've been summoned to help on the front of the Guardians of Hyjal. How original. In the first few minutes, however, it's obvious that a lot of bad things are happening.
No, it can't be. Our forward outpost has been obliterated! By fire be purged! The Fire Lord has risen! We must send word to the others! Let us hurry!
Okay, so in the first few seconds we've looked Deathwing in the face, seen if our elemental is summoned into being, and we've made a run for it. This can't be good. Okay, so the Drake drops you off, and you report in. I'm not going to go over every single detail of what happens in the storyline here, because there's a lot of stuff they pack into Mount Hyjal. In fact, every single one of these individual zones, there is a lot of stuff packed in there. It took me about 2 days of on and off gameplay to get through all this stuff, just to give you an idea. A really experienced player could probably do it in maybe 5 or 6 hours if they were really just going plowing headlong through it. But my personal feeling is that you should experience this for yourself. You should actually try it out, see what all the storyline is like, see where all the plot twists come from, and really just enjoy it for yourself. Or you can just, you know, power through it and see if you can do the entire zone in 2 hours. I mean, that's pretty cool too. So now it's my job to free the good spirits to protect Mount Hyjal. Oh, okay, that's cool. And it's also being shown that there's Twilight Hammer cultists now in the area, and they're moving supplies in to establish a foothold on the planet for their fiery lord and master.
I'm the Lord and Master. You all are bastards.
And doing so through the otherworldly realm of the Firelands. But here's where I'm starting to have a hard time suspending my disbelief. Okay, granted, I'm playing this game as a half a ton of angry pot roast and I'm looking for some semblance of reality, but hear me out. You see, the cultists want to see the world end. Okay, that works, because there's a lot of those in real life, too. And they're moving supplies over real land and in the Firelands. Okay, real land I can see, but in the Fireland areas, I can clearly see the defining walls. So that's a pretty poor way to move supplies back and forth. I also have a hard time believing how comically stupid these minions are. At one point, you're killing them 1 second, and then they're following your orders the next. Alright, Mike Bake's right. I can reluctantly see that too, but it's kind of jarring, that's all I'm saying. So, let me gloss over the grinder play here. You go to an area, you help the Hyjal locals free an ancient spirit and cleanse their respective area of cultists, you move on to the next area, blather, rinse, repeat. Some highlights I like: you get to ride on the back of an ancient wolf spirit while you om-nom-noms on some bad guys you meet. And, okay, I get it. I see what you did there. I understand completely. I get it. Okay, so we're in the Wolf Shrine area, and Hungry Like the Wolf is a song that was done by Duran Duran, and it's on their album Rio. I get it. Okay, it's clever. That's cute. That's really... it's an 80s thing, and 80s are funny. I get it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. At least they don't have her making song references in her... Really, game? Really? Another highlight is something I really want to dive into with another show down the road, and it's a quest where you capture and torture an enemy. Okay, I know it's almost hypocritical to be offended by this. I mean, you're fighting the bad guy to the death just before you capture her. But there's something intrinsic that really bothers me about quests like this. Yeah, that's plural, quests. But, like I said, I'll get into this down the road, but I'll just say that the concept bothers you, be well aware that it's actually here. One of the other highlights is a flaw in the roleplay of the area. I mentioned in a previous show about the boning principle, and it's alive and well here in Cataclysm. You're asked to talk to a demon and get its help, but you're told don't free him. Well, the spell you do help him cast actually does help your cause, but in the process, guess what, folks?
Thank you, mortal. Your heroism in the Inferno has made my escape possible. As a reward, I will allow you to live.
Oh, well, I could kill you today, but I have so many better things to do with my day today. Yeah, sure. You guys telegraphed as boning so blatantly, you guys should be charged with broadcasting pornography. And what gets me is that the reaction from the druids is, oh well, you just freed a demon that's dangerous enough to be imprisoned, and the reaction is, oh well, la-di-da. The biggest joke is that he's supposed to be really dangerous, but once he's freed, he vanishes off the face of the game. Well, at least to this point. Down the road, he might make a reappearance, but when you free him, he's gone, written out of the storyline. So, yeah, that was pretty pointless. At one point, one of the ancients gives you the last of his life force before dying, and then gives it to you with the idea of saving the land with it. And then, when you do, you're told that the land is now your responsibility.
Now I entrust you with an even greater responsibility. By your hand, this mountain will bloom again. It is yours to protect and defend.
Well, gee, thanks. It's not like I don't have enough on my plate. I'm fighting ancient beasts of pure evil, trying to catch rogue turtles, trying not to get seared by Deathwing, infiltrating cults and turning them against each other, and now I'm in charge of lawn care for the region? Screw that, go buy your own lawnmower. Eventually, the tide does turn for the better, and you're taking on major bad guys of the region. What I found odd is that you don't do these quests alone. Every time you have to summon help in one form or another. I kind of get where they're going with this. They kind of put out Cataclysm, they hammered home the forced friendship aspect of the game, and this is just reinforcement of that idea. It seems a little heavy-handed, and honestly, I feel like my tune isn't even needed for these fights. I'm just there to watch it happen.
Let this be a lesson to those who would defile Hyjal.
My planet needs me!
shall face the Fire Lord and drive every ember of his being out of our realm.
The climactic boss fight is against Ragnaros himself, and it feels like I'm a fifth wheel here as well. It's basically a spank and tank fight with one or two elements of, oh, I have to go do something else rather than just beat up the bad guy. And anyone with half a brain can probably figure out what to do, and no, I'm not going to tell you how to do the fight. Figure it out for yourself, it's much more fun that way. Once you do that, well, it's kind of anticlimactic. You're asked to go back to your hometown and get sent on another mission, related kinda to what you just did. Which is why I don't feel bad about telling you how this story ends, because this isn't the end of the story. Yeah, you defeated Ragnaros, but there's a lot of dangling storylines that they just kind of left there. A lot of MMOs are like this, where they'll just leave a storyline hanging there, and a little bit later on, when they run out of story ideas, they'll just pick one up and they'll run with it. So you're coming back to this area whether you want to or not. Mainly if you want to get decent gear, you'll be back. You see, there's the daily quest to reclaim the Firelands to deal with, and if you want to see the end of that chain, you'll be doing the same quest over and over for at least 2 weeks solid. And if you're an achievement whore, you'll be doing it even more than that. So this isn't technically the end of the story. It's just filler while you make it to level 85. Which brings me to the whole point of zones like this. This is basically filler. This doesn't really have a lot of plot to it, and what little plot there is to it is pretty wafer thin. The whole concept of this is, well, barring that you don't survive the first couple of levels into this, it's just to gear you up, get you experience points, and get you into the end content just that much faster. End content that, I'll just say that when 4.3 comes out, I'm really looking forward to random group raids. That's the only way I'm ever going to get to play some of those places. Yeah, guilds. Let's talk about that in a minute, shall we? Headbanging is for the young.